We have already covered regarding the options that we have in Azure for SQL, MS SQL database. If you have seen the previous videos, we have Azure SQL database, that's a PaaS service. We have managed instance, that's a PaaS service. And we can also opt for the image from the Azure Marketplace, which has SQL installed. So you would have the option of SQL inside the Azure VM, or you can buy the separate license for the SQL and install it yourself. So there are a few options, for the SQL database, but uh, what is good for you? Maybe you're migrating from your on premises to the Azure and you want to opt for the SQL options. Maybe you are creating a new infrastructure. Maybe you're starting the new startup and you need the resources on Azure for your database purpose. So it depends. Out of these options, what is good for you? So today's topic is what SQL is good for you. So hello everyone, my name is Arun, and let's get started. So while designing or during the meetings, this is the very common question that customer ask. What is good for us regarding everything? But in this particular video, we'll be talking about the SQL. So there are few aspects that we need to go through to understand what is best for us and on what basis we decide uh, the services which are offered by Azure is best for us. So let's see. The first uh, point in this regard is cost. That is the first point. Cost. Okay. Now, everyone wants to save the money. They want the maximum profit. We all know that. Moving to the cloud is not just everyone is going to the cloud, so let's go to the cloud. It is more like where we can save money and we'll be secure and we would not be worried about the scalability, elasticity, and high availability, those things. But cost is always the number one. So we need to keep in mind which of the service can give us the minimum cost, right? The best deal. Now, if we talk about, we have the PaaS services, which is always cheaper in long terms as compared to IaaS service, because you do not need to administer the underlying OS hardware. No need to no need to worry about the patching. No need to keep a team active which can maintain all the infrastructure, right? So for PaaS service, everything is taken care by Azure, right? So in the long term, of course, you are going to save a lot of money if you go for the PaaS service as compared to IaaS. IaaS is infrastructure as a code. Oh, sorry, not infrastructure as a code. It's infrastructure as service. I was doing IAC in the previous call, so that's why it just came out of my mind. So infrastructure as service, which is exactly like your on-premises, where you're running your VM. Inside the VM, you're installing your SQL. So you need to maintain the VM as well, the operating system, the hardware, and everything, right? And we have the PaaS service where you need not to worry about those things, right? Then we have another option here that is administration, which is correlated to the first point. Because PaaS SQL, you only need to worry about the database. But in IaaS, you have full control over operating system and SQL Server instance configuration, and you can decide when to update or upgrade and other admin tasks. So there is a little, difference between these two. You not need not to worry about the underlying hardware, so it means you would have the less access on your on the resource, right? if you are running SQL on the VM, so you would have the access on everywhere. You have the access on the VM OS, you have the access on the SQL server everywhere. But it will increase your administrative, effort. You need to put the admins in place. You need to put the teams in place to take care of the maintenance of the entire infrastructure. But that is not with the PaaS service. But similarly, you would have the less access as compared to the IS. Okay. Now, one more thing, which is always a cost deciding, not the cost deciding, but the decision maker, which is best service for you, that is SLA, service level agreement. Both IaaS and PaaS provide high industry standard SLA. PaaS options guarantees 99.99% SLA, while IaaS can also achieve that, but you need to go through certain other infrastructure or architecture things. You need to place the VM inside the availability set to X 99.95. But if you're going for the zone, you need to put in a different zone the machines and take care of the database synchronization and all those things. But you can get up to 99.9 there as well. Okay, so all right, there are something which is also a decider, that is how much time you have to move to the SQL, move to the Azure, move your SQL to the Azure. If I put this way, both IaaS and managed instance are very easy to migrate, just like on-prem from one server to another. May require little changes in managed, which is almost 100% capable of supporting all the services of SQL, and it is also PaaS, right? But if we talk about the PaaS, Azure SQL PaaS or Elastic Pool, we need to be sure because certain features not supported, example, authentication and few other features, right? Time to move and services needed. Okay. Because Azure SQL DB doesn't support all the services that is provided by Azure. Okay. Now, there is one more thing which is very critical to decide the what SQL is good for you is the DB size. Okay, because managed instance don't support more than 8 TB and ISVM can go up to like 256 TB. Now with the latest update, earlier it was 64 TBs, and there is a catch for the Azure SQL as well that can go up to 100 TBs, I think, with the premium. And if you have a bigger database size, so you cannot go for the managed instance. And if you have more than 100, so of course you need to go for a SQL inside the VM. These are all the decision makers. Now, if you are creating a new infrastructure on Azure, then it is more of a like people or the IT team or your architect would definitely give you option to make it modern application. Go for the PaaS services, SQL database services, go for the microservices and those kind of things. But in case of migration from on-prem to Azure, you need to decide which would be best option for you so that your on-premises application can work on Azure with the new SQL. Okay, so these are a few things that can help you decide. Or let's go ahead and talk about the options that we have in the Azure and what things matches where. Just to refresh your memory, we have three options. If you remember, we talked about it in the previous videos. Okay, let me make the same color. Okay, let me connect it with this. Yeah, it looks better. All right, I want this again here. Okay, so what three options we had? We just discussed in the same video. Uh, we have Azure SQL DB, right? It could be single database, it could be elastic pool, doesn't matter. Okay, we have managed instance, right? And we have SQL inside VM. We got these three options, and we need to compare as per these categories along with few others that always are there. For example, your business approach, your technical team approach, your application thing. But this will give you a very good idea like which SQL is good for you. For example, if we talk about a SQL Server on Azure VM, we have this thing will administration is totally in our hand, and along with all the services which is provided by SQL, like reporting services, and there are other services as well. So if you are looking an option something like that, then go for SQL inside the VM. Okay, these two are the PaaS services, and of course we do not have as much access of the underlying hardware or the OS that we have with the SQL. Okay, but managed instance provide almost 100 compatibility with the SQL on VM, though you would not have the access of the underlying hardware and OS. It is a PaaS service, so this becomes the ultimate choice for you if you have less than 8 TB of database, because it is a PaaS service. It will save you a lot of money, very less administrative burden or effort or team you required. It has inbuilt high availability and all, right? Also provide 99.99% of availability guaranteed. Uh, okay. Now, always remember, PaaS services will get the latest database engine version. Whatever is released, the latest one, you need not to do anything for that. It will come in the PaaS services, and you need not to worry about it. But for SQL, of course, you need to opt for it, you need to get the license, and then you need to install it. Those kind of things you need to think for. And SQL inside VM, if you need to migrate, it would be absolutely simple migration on-prem to on-prem. Like you can do backup and restore, and there are other options like mirroring, and you can do with the help of other tools available, just like on-prem to on-prem. But for managed instance, you can use DMS provided by Azure. For SQL, you can use DBA, Database Migration Assistant, and you can also go for uh, backup and restore. But the other services that you need to think for, okay? And there would be some challenges to migrate on Azure SQL DB because not all the features are supported. Okay, in Azure SQL VM, we have the private IP address within the Azure VNet. Same goes with the managed instance. But for Azure SQL DB, it is not there yet, maybe in future. But you can create the service endpoints to access your SQL DB. And nowadays we do have private link. I think that you can opt for that as well. Okay, because this is a PaaS service, it would have the public IP that is not for others to access, but that's how it is. So you can use the service endpoints rather connecting the SQL DB over the internet. You can go from the back end. Now, in the SQL inside VM, it's you need to manage your backups and patches. You need the entire team for the backups and the maintenance. Okay. For managed instance and Azure SQL, no need to manage patches or inbuilt, because no need to manage the patches or backups because it is there inbuilt. Okay, inbuilt high availability. So you need not to worry about the setting up the availability set or two VMs both in sync and those kind of stuff. It is always highly available. Okay. Now, if you need to increase the compute power for your VM, you need downtime for sure, right? Changing the VM size is required to increase the compute or storage thing, uh, which require downtime. It is not like that in managed or Azure SQL DB. You can change your resources online. It wouldn't impact the running database. Okay. All right. All right. I think I have covered most of the things, and these things will decide what database you need to choose, uh, and help you understand how these databases are different from each other. And of course, application compatibility is always there. So I think that's all. Thank you for watching, and you have a good day. Bye bye.